Welcome back to Metroid Prime. Be prepared for this is quite a long part, but on the bright side, I do make quite a bit of progress this part for
This
once.
part opens with a really loud drone, and I am so glad I didn't have the volume higher. But that would have deafened me as soon as I started. I'm actually going to turn it down a little.
Yeah, it was a little loud. I don't know if this part's louder than the others for some
Maybe I
reason
had it
or whatever.
louder. Maybe I had the volume up for near. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, maybe. But yeah, I think this part we're getting most of the remaining Chozo artifacts. We're getting our final beam upgrades.
Ooh.
And just a whole bunch of like missiles and maybe an energy tank, maybe two. I don't know. There's only two left. I don't know if
When
I
do we
ended
get
with
super
all of them.
missiles?
Huh?
When do we get super missiles?
We got super missiles a long time ago.
I meant real super missiles.
Hey, these are better. Well, not really. You can't spam them. But
That's probably for the best. They're better than the
these,
ones in Fusion and Dread, which are just damage boost.
I kind of actually prefer that in the 2D games because I'm really sick of pressing the select button in Super Metroid to
Well,
switch to
that's
the
your
super
problem.
missiles.
I have when I play Super Metroid, I have that map to X.
Like, either way, I have to switch my gear around all the time.
But it's a lot more comfortable than pressing select.
Yeah, but it's also not as comfortable as like I don't know, holding R just so you can activate missiles instead of your beams. I find that way nicer.
Hmm.
Hey, remember when I was like analyzing these walls for a very long time? Yeah, we're doing. This is like our big backtrack adventure. This part. So
Backtracking. That means they had no budget. 0 out of 10.
no. Aw.
Okay, this. I know we talked about this in the last part, but in 3D Metroid for sure, I feel like it's actually backtracking. And none of the 2D
Yeah.
games, I don't feel like it's backtracking. It just feels like I'm, still progressing through the world. But in this, it feels like backtracking, just because
Yeah.
of the way you can't skip things. You have to go
Mm-hmm.
through the rooms the exact same every time. You're not gonna have like a sudden new move that can skip rooms.
Yeah. It's not even about skipping things. It's also just the fact that like um you like the 2D games. I think we talked about this in a previous part, but in the 2D games, they sort of naturally lead you from place to place. Whereas in this, you're kind of just like left to your own devices. And so you've got to figure out where you got to go. And sometimes you just choose the wrong way. And then the
Mm-hmm.
game has to be like, hey, dumbass, you need to go this way. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. It's not it's I would love a 3D Metroid game that has that same 2D Metroid strength of like naturally leading you
You
and the
remember the spider ball, or you have the jump.
yeah. I was like, I don't want to destroy the platforms anymore. Oh,
What was that?
bitch is scared of me. It was a Chozo ghost. He was loitering in this hallway, trying to sell me
Yeah,
some freaking dishwasher or something.
yeah. I was gonna ask though. Do you think this is one of the greatest games ever made?
I love it a lot. I would probably say it's possibly up there, but it's not like in the top 10 necessarily. If you catch my drift, I would say it's in the upper echelon of gaming.
I'll put it in the top 50.
Yeah, it's in the
And
upper echelon of
within the
games in
top 50,
general.
probably past top 20.
Yeah, it's just not like one of the best, like best. Like I don't know, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Super Metroid itself, that sort of stuff, which are all like masterpieces in my opinion. This game, I love it to death, and it's an amazing 3D Metroidvania because we don't really get a lot of those. but it does, like we've been talking about, have a ton of issues. So,
Hmm.
I can't really call it one of the best
Yeah,
ever made.
unfortunately, like games can be good, but not all of them can be near automata. What?
Yes, of course. That's the bar we're comparing to.
Everything compares to Nier Automata because Nier Automata is an infallible, perfect game.
It's not, because it's not Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
Well, you see, there's a secret to that, and it's called Sonic Unleashed is better. What? Who said that?
A little bit of a fucking hot take here. Well, you're disowned.
I don't know why,
But
but in the last 3 years, my love of Unleashed has gone up too high.
do you play Werehog levels for fun? Because I
Uh,
do.
yeah, I haven't played Unleashed stuff for a while. I haven't played any Sonic game for a while.
You're waiting for the Unleashed Ultimate, I see.
Nah,
Speaking,
JRPGs are just too good right now.
yeah. Speaking of random remasters, though, do you think we're actually ever going to get the Switch ports of Prime 2 and 3? Because at this point, I don't think it's happening. It's been too long, and they haven't said shit.
I didn't say shit about this either.
Well, yeah, but
And I wonder if they're
there
saving
were
it for whatever our
rumors.
new console is.
There were like rumors and
Because,
rumblings
like,
about
frankly,
it.
I was surprised Tears of the Kingdom was announced for this Switch.
Yeah, I kind of agree with
Though
that.
somehow that game does run significantly better than Breath of the Wild. So
I
they
wouldn't
clearly
say
they worked.
significant. I would not say significantly.
I would say so, especially in like Korok Forest, it doesn't have frame rate issues.
In some areas it runs better, but in some areas it runs worse.
Mm.
That's what I noticed. I don't really understand why. Probably because of all the physics weirdness going
I mean,
on.
I've almost only exclusively played in docked mode, and I haven't really
Yeah,
seen
me too.
any frame drops like Breath of the Wild.
Well, you haven't been paying attention.
Sorry, I just disagree with you. God.
Well, I mean, you can disagree all you want. You're just wrong. It's not a matter of opinion. The frame rate hardly ever stays at a constant 30.
Eh. This runs at 30, right?
No, this is 60.
Oh, okay.
This is a full 60 somehow. They managed to make this run immaculately, and it's like the best looking game on the Switch easily.
Yeah, and it sucks because before that it was Dread for me.
Yeah, Dread looks awesome, but I think they really managed to make this look next gen on a freaking Switch almost. Like maybe not all the way next gen, but this looks so good.
This
I,
feels on the level of at least Xbox One and PS4.
yeah, exactly.
So the gen this was a part of, but the Switch is just underpowered because thanks to Nintendo.
Yeah. And I am also amazed at just how well the original art style for this game translates so well into HD graphics like this. Because the games, like, they completely remade the art from scratch, but they look so similar to one another if you compare them side by side. It just shows how crazy good the GameCube original was already
Yeah.
in that regard. Like, oh, such a fucking good game. And it's unfortunate that no one really replicates these kinds of games. Like, no one really tried to make their own 3D FPS Metroidvania or
Yeah.
anything like that.
No, people really only go for the 2D games. No one's gone for Other M,
Yeah.
which is a shame because Other M was fought for a lot of reasons, but that doesn't mean it can't be refined and perfected.
Mm-hmm.
It's in a similar spot to Frontiers.
Yeah.
It's just
I feel
Frontiers
like
was much more positively received.
I feel like if like they really wanted to, they probably could have made a 3D Metroid game for the Nintendo 64. And I imagine if it was anything like other M, like in terms of just the gameplay, then it probably would be well regarded to this day. It's just
I think they could have gone the Kirby route and kept it 2D.
true.
Because, at least with Kirby, we know they would have been potentially willing to. I just think Yoshio Sakamoto wanted to do something else.
Well, it's that and the
Because he
fact
very
that
clearly
like
likes to wait a while to make games.
it's that and just the fact that at the time, like you read in interviews and stuff, nobody wanted to follow up Super Metroid. Like that's like, but even back then was considered one of the best games on the Super Nintendo, like easily. It
Well, I
was
think
like,
it's clear that he doesn't think he can really follow up games unless he can think of something to revolutionize the game. Like, I think it's a miracle we got both Zero Mission and Fusion as close together as they were.
yeah, on the same console. Yeah.
Because clearly he wasn't going to do anything, because, like, he had ideas for Dread, couldn't really do it with what he had to work with, and then the opportunity to work with Team Ninja came up.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's obviously where Dread went.
What do you think was his hang-up with the DS when making Dread?
I wonder if they always plan to use complex 3D animations.
Like the
I don't know.
cinematics and stuff?
No, not cinematics per se, because I think that came about with other and with with gaining Team Ninja.
Okay.
Though it's hard to say because
Well, I think maybe the fact that Other M was made in that style, I think maybe shows that Sakamoto was thinking of like a more cinematic angle for the Metroid series at the time.
it's
so maybe
hard
he
to
also
say.
had that idea with Dread.
It's hard to say if like that came about because of the collaboration with Team Ninja and just bled into the rest of 2D Metroid with Mercury Steams, or if it was only going to be for that game and Mercury Steam just in general having a cinematic style to all of their action games kind of kept it going. It's hard to say.
Yeah. And because, like, I asked that question, though, because I find it hard to imagine that it was. A lot of people's theory was, oh, the way the Emmy are animated is, like, really crazy and unique, so maybe the DS couldn't handle that. And I don't really see why the DS couldn't have handled that. Especially if they were using
I don't think it's
sprites on the
necessarily
DS.
handling it. It's just I doubt they would have used sprites. I think they would have gone for a 3D look for the Emmys if the Emmys were even a concept back then.
Mm-hmm.
Just because with those kinds of movements and how the Emmy are animated, and how much they change direction and such, I think that would have been too hard to do with sprites. Because like the sprite work in Metroid is really, really good. It's just that for the most part, outside of like a couple of transformations, there's no sprite work that's overtly complex.
I don't
It's
really
just
think
high production all the way through, you know.
I don't really think though that if they did have the concept of the Emmy, I don't really think that doing them with 2D sprites would be all that hard. You just have each limb be its own sprite that you rotate in its own way.
Maybe it was sound design then.
Maybe it was what?
Sound design, maybe?
Sound design? I'm thinking it's either got to be like I don't know, maybe since the DS had 3D capabilities, maybe he was wanting a 3D world, but it's still like a 2D game, like how we have with Samus Returns and stuff.
I wonder if he had lost his studio, had to create a new team to develop Dread, and during that time, it was either work with another completely new team to work on a concept that was barely off the table, or work with a very experienced team with the opportunity for Other M. Like, he doesn't really talk about it, but I bet that the production of Other M is probably what killed Dread early on.
Probably.
Especially because I think it takes some of those ideas for itself, because it heavily wants... obviously, Dread was going to be a sequel to Fusion, and I think he really wanted to follow that up, but Metroid Other M is clearly a game that's supposed to go hand in hand with Fusion, so I wonder if that's just where some of the concepts went, but instead of going for the horror focus, they went for the action focus because they had Team Ninja.
Yeah.
And then they changed the name because he had watched probably End of Evangelion recently and thought, ah, yes, motherhood. Where's my favorite character? Why do you ask? Evangelion fans will get this.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see that. There's also, like, for me, I wonder why he decided to make a prequel to Fusion rather than use his probably already existing idea for Dread for the Wii.
I wonder if Dread was originally going to be a prequel. Because if you look at the groundwork of Fusion and the story elements of Other M, they feel like they were written together from the get-go in some ways. This is specifically a lot of the Japanese side lore, the stuff that's cut out of American translations. But yeah, I wonder if Dread was originally planned to be the prequel to Fusion, and what Other M would eventually become, just without the horror elements.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because you do have because they clearly wanted to have some kind of horror themed atmosphere and segments, and I wonder if that was a holdover. So like you got the slow moving walking sections where the camera goes up close to Samus and it feels more survival horror based. They just don't really do too much with it because, like I said, I think it's a holdover.
Yeah.
Just kind of there because it fit the story, but they weren't going to do much more with that because it was cut.
Oh, shit.
Ooh, that's mean.
God damn it, Sakamoto. No. I don't know how much involved. I don't think he had any involvement in this.
Oh, I think he was mainly there for continuity and to make sure the game was a Metroid game, just in the production side.
Yeah. But, yeah, and he's also, like...
probably, like, the same way that Iizuka has ties with Sonic.
Yeah.
Just Izuka's a little more powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's still kind of a little more hands-off other than keeping a unified look for the series.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ooh.
I was so scared. But, what am I doing? I need to bomb. I forgot that the bomb actually automatically detaches you, even if you're still holding the button. So I was like, do I have to detach and then...
Can you jump, or will it just jump you not the way you want?
You can't jump when you're sideways on a wall like that.
Okay.
You can only jump when you're on flat ground. Which, is, by the way, this is like... we were talking about this kind of earlier. This is like one of the only times I do something really interesting with the fucking morph ball in this game.
Yeah, everyone talks about how much progress needed to be made on the morph ball, but I when it's used in a puzzle context and for preciseness, I don't like the morph ball in this game. I like having it as an option. I think it's fun for an action kind of view, where it's like quickly move into this, move faster, and dodge enemies. That's fun. But this kind of stuff, not really. It's kind of my nightmare.
This is quite fun for me, though. Like, this was one of the more fun sections, because it's basically just one big, tight platforming section. Like,
yeah.
You're not really platforming, you're just, like... You're Spider-Manning along the fucking wall, and it's fun. Because they let you move freely around the wall with the spider ball this time, in certain spots. So... I don't know. It's pretty fun. Though the spider ball in this game very much feels like the very 6th gen type thing where they have to limit your ability because they don't want to balance it for a 3D space that much.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you can only spider ball on the designated walls, which is kind of lame, but I don't think it would be very useful in this game otherwise. So
yeah. Back to Dread for a bit. Do you think that he, after seeing the work done on Samus Returns, do you think that is what brought Dread into existence? Or I wonder if Mercury's teams kind of came back, asked them if they could do another, and then brought up the idea of Dread, in memes and stuff, because it's existed in pop culture just due to leaks, and that really, really happened. That really unfortunate coincidence that Retro Studios made in Prime 3.
yeah. I think it was mainly Sakamoto's doing. After Samus Returns, he was like, I think he was like ready to make a new Metroid game, but for whatever reason, well, he didn't have like a team, I guess. So I think Mercury Steam maybe approached with the Samus Returns, or it was the Fusion remake idea, because that's what Samus Returns originally started, or it was pitched as.
I think they brought in a demo of it too, a prototype.
Yeah.
So I wonder I wonder if they heavily increased the horror element with the SAX, and that kind of early build helped bring in the idea of, hey, these guys get it.
I think Sakamoto saw that demo, and I think his words were, "I don't think Fusion needs a remake, so
we're gonna work on the game I never touched."
Yeah, and then that was basically his testing ground to see, okay, can these guys make a good 2D Metroid game, and if so, then we'll go ahead and proceed with Dread with this.
How do you think that feels though to approach a company to be like, hey, we want to do a remake of one of our favorite games, be told no to do a different game, but then be told your work was so good on this one, we're gonna let you make the sequel to one of your favorite Metroid games. Like, that's gotta feel great.
I think it, like, I don't think any of them would have been like super disappointed, like, ah, man, we don't get to make the Fusion remake. I think if they were like Metroid fans, they were probably like, oh shit, we actually, our pitch worked. We actually get to make a remake of a Metroid game. That's awesome.
Yeah. I think they would have gone with either Fusion or Zero Mission. I think they probably just went with Fusion for the horror atmosphere, but like both those games in general just have already have a cinematic groundwork, so I think that makes it easy in your head to kind of envision, okay, this is how we can do that on the 3DS with our current style, and like what we did for what was I think it was Lords of Shadow. Yeah, it was Lords of Shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it was Mirror of Fate. Mirror of Fate. That's the 3DS game. But yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, Mirror of Fate. Lords of Shadow is the HD game. Mirror of Fate is the 3DS port or spinoff.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
But I wonder if they would have also done Zero Mission potentially. And I think that could have been cool too. I would love to see another interpretation of Zero Mission, or some kind of game where we get a epilogue section with Zero Suit Samus. Because that's such a good segment. And I love the idea of that, where you take away all of her power.
Let's remake Zero Mission.
We don't need to remake Zero Mission. If there's a Metroid 6, assuming that the suit, after it went through all of its healing and such after Fusion and Dread, assuming the suit's back to normal, like, what's the excuse going to be to weaken Samus again? Is she going to just simply lose all of her abilities like this? Or maybe instead of having the suit get weakened, she just loses the suit. I think that could be kind of cool. And like, you played the game mostly with the Zero suit, and instead of ending the game with the gravity suit, it ends when you finally get the standard power suit. And you just get a huge armor increase. I think that could be pretty cool.
Yeah, I would like them to maybe explore, like, potentially more Metroid-esque abilities for a sequel to Dread. Like,
I don't know if she's gonna still have the Metroid abilities or not, or if they're gonna be fully lost to time.
Mm-hmm.
Because like it's kind of unclear entirely what that X Parasite did. So
I thought,
I can't tell if it just
yeah,
deactivated it so she wasn't as out of control, or if it took away the abilities. But
yeah.
in which case she would still have the DNA, so it's hard. It's hard to say.
I think the implication. This is just my interpretation, but I think the implication is that, um, like her suit was out of control, unstable, and then the quiet robe, uh, X parasite, kind of neutralized it a little bit, but it's still there. Maybe in the next game she just has to learn how to use her Metroid powers, and that's how you get power ups in that game or something. I don't know. That was my sort of idea if I made a Metroid 6.
Dude, that'd be
Um,
kind of cool. Like, imagine if when you beat a boss, they would go into a staggered state, so you could grab them and absorb their
yeah.
abilities. But you could also perhaps you could also have the option to fully obliterate them and ignore the ability. Of
That would
course,
be
so that
cool.
would really fuck the structure, but it'd be interesting if you could do it.
Yeah, because then they'd have to let you beat the game with like no power ups, which, you know, to be fair, you can do in like Super Metroid if you know what you're doing.
That would be a cool way to make a true sequel to Super Metroid.
Yeah.
If the game
Any.
just from the get go lets you ignore the abilities.
Yeah. They would just have to make, I guess, making the game, then the abilities that you get would just make the like level layouts and stuff significantly easier. And of course, you could have areas that are only accessible with the certain power ups that you get. So,
Yeah.
um,
Uh, I I wonder if because of how inconsistent Metroid is, if Metroid 6 is just going to be a completely new style from Dread.
I
Just
wouldn't be
because
surprised.
like with each mainline game, we do just have a huge jump
Hmm.
with only spin-offs kind of refining the ideas. So it'd be interesting.
Yeah, yeah. It's sort of
We're just in
uh
a weird spot now with Dread where we have a studio that's going to have, longevity because they're not part of Nintendo and they're their own
yeah,
company. And then also, the current gameplay style didn't come from a mainline game, it came from a spin off game. So,
yeah. Well, there's like, for me, I think I know it's only happened twice technically, but it seems like the Metroid games come in duos. So maybe we'll get like, since we got the Samus Return style for the remake game and the new game, maybe we'll get a new game in a new style and a remake in the same style, or vice versa, that sort of thing. Um,
if Metroid 6 goes the way of Other M and tries to bring back that style, would you be satisfied if Metroid Dread was the last 2D Metroid?
I think I would, because Dread is like fucking amazing, and I think it gets like 99.9% of things correct. You know,
Yeah.
um,
Now, counterpoint, would you be happy if Superstars was the last 2D Sonic game? Nope.
no, because that game, unlike Dread, gets like nothing right. I
Hey,
won't
hey,
say it
hey,
geh
hey.
nothing right.
It got the Emerald abilities right. I'll stand by that. They're
They're
fun as
okay.
fuck.
They're the best part of the game, but they're. Eh. But yeah, I think if they go to like a fully 3D style again, and they actually get that style down pat, like I think the Dread gameplay would absolutely translate into a 3D game very nicely, and it would be fucking awesome. So if
Mm-hmm.
they manage to get that right, then I'm all fucking for it, you know. And then, you know, maybe someday down the line we'll get like a new 2D Metroid that like harkens back to the 2D Metroids of old or something. I don't know, like a modernized take on the original Metroid or something. You know. Because I wouldn't really
You mean
necessarily
Zero
consider.
Mission?
I was about to say I don't even really necessarily consider Zero Mission a modernized take on the original Metroid, because it kind of like I don't know, it fundamentally changes how you progress through that game in a lot of ways. Without it feels like a Metroid Fusion 2 rather than necessarily a remake of the original Metroid, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, same thing with Metroid 2. Or
Yeah.
with Samus Returns.
Yeah, Samus Returns feels pretty like entirely different from the original Metroid 2 and everything other than the general premise, you know. So, um yeah, I think I would like I don't I think I'd like something that kind of harkens back to that hardcore
It'd be kind of cool if we
completely
got like
lost
a
style.
made a collection. We'll call it like the Saga of Samus. That
Hmm.
kind of redoes the first two games. I think that'd
Yeah.
be kind of cool.
Where he does the first two games while retaining their general vibe, gameplay feel. Well,
Yeah,
not
they don't need to touch Super Metroid. We all know that.
yeah. Though I've said this many times. I definitely I don't think Super Metroid needs a remake, but I would absolutely love to see one, just in the like style of like like the Zero Mission remake and stuff, and the Samus Returns type thing, because I really like that style of Metroid game too. You know.
I mean, if they do that, I would like something like a Link's Awakening, where they keep it almost entirely the same, but just give it the modern amenities to
Mhm.
make it, just play a lot better than it
Yeah.
should have in the original. Or Mario RPG now too, since we have that. I think that did well. I think people
Yeah, I
like
think
that.
it
I
did.
didn't really
I
follow
think
it.
people did. Yeah, I think a remake in that style where it's just basically giving the game 3D graphics would be nice. Especially if it's like 3D graphics that are as good as Dread's, you know?
Yeah,
Like, imagine just the straight gameplay of Super Metroid, but with Dread's art style, pretty much.
they
That would
changed
be
something
fucking
about the
awesome.
wall jump or the mock ball wouldn't work, and everyone would be pissed and never play it again.
See, that's the 4D chess move they make. They make the original Super Metroid unlockable, like they did for Zero Mission.
Nope, you can't include a free game now in your game. That's then why would people pay for Nintendo Online?
I don't know. Make this version of Super Metroid like I don't know the like PAL version that no one has or something. I don't
Yeah. At least you can
know.
actually play every mainline game on Switch.
Yeah. Well, I don't
We're
think.
just missing Zero Mission and then two
Yeah.
remake.
Yeah.
So every mainline game, you can go from Metroid to Metroid 2: Return of Samus, to Super Metroid to Metroid Fusion to Metroid Dread, and that's
They
nice.
they really ought to put Samus Returns on Switch. Like that game needs a second chance.
There is nothing in that game that requires it to have two screens.
Yes.
Because everything the second screen did can either be done in a pause menu or just map to different buttons. Because
Yeah.
Dread proved that apparently you can take the overly complicated button schemes of Mercury Stream's Metroid and it works.
Yep. That Dread uses every button on
And
that damn Pro
and they
controller.
even have instant morph ball transformations. Like, what more can I
Yeah.
say?
Exactly. Even though I'm still the guy who presses down twice because I'm
Oh, I
fucking
always will.
stupid. It's just muscle memory at this point. But yeah, I'd be so down for both a Super Metroid remake and a Fusion remake, just cause the all the remakes have been really fucking good.
Yeah,
All two
Team
of them.
Ninja, please return to remake to redo Other M.
Yeah, let's get Other M remake.
No, Other M refresh. It doesn't even need to be a full remake. Just like port it to the Switch, but make some tweaks. And I think
Port it
it
to
could
the
be a good
Switch.
game.
Port it to the Switch. Make some uh tweaks so that, you know, it all works on a standard controller. And
dude, it'd be great too because like in Tears of the Kingdom, you can set the language to Japanese. So hopefully I can just play the whole game with Japanese voice acting.
Yeah.
And I don't have to hear the baby. Which,
What's
by the
wrong with
way,
that?
when I play it for the channel one day, I will be playing it like that. I modded it, baby. Let's go.
Let's go. But I think it'd be cool too for like other M like type re-release if they maybe not necessarily add extra areas, but add more opportunities for just straight up exploration, because the game is very linear.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like a fun kind of linear like Prime 3 is. You know, it just kind of looks like you have to walk down this hallway for a long time.
Well, it depending on how the action is. I think I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty much what Devil May Cry 5 does. And it makes it the best Devil May Cry because you don't have to do a bunch of weird bullshit like Devil May Cry 4.
Yeah. And you know, this is a weird point of reference for this type of thing, but like a 3D Metroid in that style could absolutely work because they managed to do it. They managed to fully replicate 2D Mario in pretty much the same style with 3D World and Land, and those games are great. So I think
Mario fans would disagree, but yeah.
Mario fans that are stupid disagree because those games are awesome.
Ooh, them are fighting words. I'm not a Mario fan, so I have nothing to lose.
3D World is like a contender for my favorite 3D Mario, TBH. It's really good.
One day I'll get Odyssey. One day.
Yeah, it's pretty much, it's between those two and Galaxy 1, I think. Actually, I don't know which I prefer over Galaxy 1 or 2. Both of those are fucking awesome.
I haven't played Galaxy 2 at all, but I'd probably say Galaxy 1 just because I think the hub adds a lot of character to it. I know people don't like the hub as much in that one, but I like it.
I like
they
the
can
hub
go
in
fuck
that
with
one.
themselves.
Yeah. I like the hub in that game. I think that game has way more character than Galaxy 2. But at the same time, Galaxy 2 is like beta 3D Land and 3D World.
Yeah.
And I love those games, so like that game's great too. It's just like straight up fun levels, and that's all it is. So, I don't know. It took me years to understand, but I finally get now why everyone wanted Galaxy 3.
I don't know. I prefer moving to new concepts for Mario.
I mean, I agree personally. I'm just saying, if they had made a Galaxy 3, it probably would have been fucking amazing. But at the same time, I think the Galaxy concept, it not necessarily ran its course, but it definitely, they achieved its potential, I want to say.
Yeah.
They did like pretty much everything they could have done with it in those two games. So maybe a third game would have, you know, caused it to run its course or something. It's more than I can say about the Adventure Sonic gameplay. Yeah, fucking in 2 games, Nintendo managed to achieve the potential of a gameplay concept. Meanwhile, Sonic Team hardly ever does that. It takes them multiple games if they don't give up on it immediately. So, and then, you know, Metroid in general is just good. It's just good all around, pretty much, other than maybe Other M.
Hey, Call of Duty fans, look what happens when you release a game at least at 8 years after the last one.
Wasn't it like 14, over 14 between like Fusion and Dread? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I know they did Zero Mission and Samus Returns in between that, but even then, even between Zero Mission and Samus Returns, it was like 10 years. So, yeah, I'm totally. That's like a lot of my favorite franchises. They take like almost a decade between releases every single time, but they're always good. Like Zelda. Now that I am a Zelda fan, Mario, this, and
You say you're a Zelda fan, but I think I still play more Zelda games than you.
well, yeah, but that doesn't mean I'm not a Zelda fan. I'm a fan of the new games. And Link's Awakening, because I love Link's Awakening so much. But it's yeah, like for me it's also like the anything from Valve. I will wait an eternity for a new Valve game and it will always be good.
Half-Life 3 is never going to be real.
Maybe not, but they are supposedly working on some kind of a follow-up to Alex. Also, this is bullshit. This wall was not scannable.
So how are you supposed to know about that?
I don't know. You're just
bomb every wall. NES Metroid. Let's go.
all you know is that there's a Chozo artifact in this room, and that's it.
Oh, hey, it's raining.
It's snowing.
What? We have wildly... Oh, no, it's raining outside my window. This time my windows are closed this time. So we're okay.
But, yeah, I think that's our third Chozo artifact in this fucking video. And we also got the plasma beam. We didn't talk about it, but the plasma beam is fucking awesome.
Yeah, I noticed.
These motherfuckers.
I didn't even notice you picking it up. I just looked at one point and I actually paid attention for like 2 seconds, and I saw you had it. I was like, "Oh, well, that's neat." Anyways, back to what we were talking about.
It was my reward for doing that big spider ball thing earlier. But yeah, this is probably my favorite fucking gun in this game because it is so satisfying. It just shreds everything. Those big like ice guys that you can only, well, you can still only really shoot them in the back, but it completely annihilates them in just a few shots. Pretty much every space pirate, other than the multicolored ones, just give them a good charge shot with the plasma beam and they're fucking dead.
I'd like to see a non-Prime game do non-stackable beams again. The closest we got was Samus Returns with the ice beam. It's just switching to the ice beam in that game sucks.
Yes, it does. It pretty much led me to only like staying on the ice beam pretty much at all times, and then switching off when I needed it to not be using it. Yeah.
It made me only use it during Metroid fights.
Yeah.
Because it's absurd there.
See, I think for like a 2D Metroid game, having the non-stackable beams thing could get annoying because they would absolutely require you to just be switching your beams all the time to open different doors like this game does.
You see, though, that's I think something that Super Metroid got right with its item switching, but maybe switch that to only beams, so you can make it nice and snappy, but all your other abilities are still always up and running.
I don't know. I feel like especially if they make a game that has as much, as many different inputs as Dread, I don't really know how they'd fit in beam switching as well. Do they use the right stick in Dread? I don't remember.
Only the click.
Okay, well then maybe they could have it on the right stick.
Because they use the click for the invisibility mechanic. And combining that with slides is what speedrunners do, and now I can't stop doing it.
Yeah. I'm just struggling to think of like scenarios where switching beams would be more fun than not switching beams.
I mean, you could potentially have it on the D-pad. If they went for a more slow-paced game like Super Metroid, I think it would work. Because with the inherent pace of Super Metroid, it's why I don't mind as much having to switch all my abilities. Because I don't expect to be moving as fast through that game.
Don't say it's a slow-paced game to the speedrunners.
Speedrunners make every game look fast. Shut up.
Yeah, but I also play Super Metroid pretty quickly, even though I'm not a speedrunner.
Oh, whatever.
I only hold the run button the entire game. I may as well just like mod the game to where it's always in run mode.
Man,
because
you would
I
love
never
boomer
let go of
shooters
that
because
button.
they always have the option to have always run on.
I kind of wish Super Metroid had that, and then maybe have a button to walk.
I mean, they added a moonwalk functionality, so it's kind of surprising that they didn't have that.
Yeah.
And Final Fantasy does it.
Open up, bitch.
I think it's because you're locked on.
Oh, whatever.
Nope, you're still... maybe you're not killing it? I don't know.
I don't know what I'm doing. Sorry, I'm taking a bath.
How'd you go up for that error?
Yep. But, yeah, I don't know. What would you want from a... Since I kind of brought it up a lot, what would you kind of want from your ideal Metroid 6?
I don't know if I'd want the same emphasis on horror that Dread had. I think because Metroid has always been linked to horror from all of its games, outside of like Samus Returns. That's the least horror-filled one, but even I would like to see it used in different ways because I like Dread because it builds on the concepts of fusion. But like the only thing I can think of to build upon Dread is either have more enemy zones or have something that's always chasing you, which I don't think would work for Metroid.
Mm-hmm.
So I that's the main thing I'm curious about is where they continue with the horror elements, because it's always been horror light.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see kind of maybe go into like a psychological adventure where maybe Samus hallucinates. I think would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like so a lot of games have tried it, but no one's ever succeeded. Like even doing like a co-op adventure where players could have different hallucinations, and it affects teamwork.
Or they could do something similar. I know you haven't played it, but similar to the recent Lords of the Fallen game, where you have like the standard like dimension, I guess, but then you can access the umbral dimension either by dying or using your lantern. I think they could have something cool like that. Like maybe, I don't know. Say Samus has returned to the Galactic Federation homeworld to retrieve the money for the Dread bounty. But then suddenly Skynet happens and AI takes over the world, and now there's like the real world, but Samus can also access a sort of cyber type dimension at the same time, which is like sort of a mirrored world to the one you're in currently. I don't know. That's just like a random idea I came up with off the top of my head. I think something like that could be cool because you could have exploration puzzles where you need to travel to the other dimension to access certain things, and then that affects things in the other world or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
I think it'd be
like
kind of
could be
cool if maybe like when you're in an opposite dimension, you can be chased by an otherworldly being, and maybe that's where they had the section in, so it can go throughout the whole game, but he's trapped between the other world, and maybe somewhere along the way he escapes into your world.
Yeah, he breaks out. That'd be so cool.
There's like moments where you're running through the map, and you could have scripted pieces where he tries to break out for a bit, but then gets trapped back in the other dimension.
It's the cyber uploaded consciousness of Ridley, since he's fucking dead, and he's just hunting Samus. He's tired of her shit.
Yeah.
Or something cooler, because Ridley's, at this point.
If they ever remade Other M, that's something they'd have to address, is give a better sense of finality to what happened with Ridley.
Yeah.
Like, even if they want to give her the PTSD shock, fine, but there needs to be a really satisfying way in how Ridley's defeated. Because they did this in the manga already, and it already works there, and sets up that she's going to keep fighting him in the original Metroid and Super.
Yeah.
So, I think something like that needs to be set up. If the
Honestly,
Other M remake were to happen.
Yeah. Maybe not even like a remake of Other M. They could perhaps make a new game that sort of acts like a prequel to the entire series. It's like Samus's mission before like the Zero mission, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Metroid -1.
Kind of back on what we were talking about with Metroid 6. I would love to see, since this is quote unquote the end of the Metroid arc, I would like to see potentially a new planet with a new race of people.
Or a new race of people.
Less focus on the Chozo. Because I think with Dread we have, ignoring how Prime complicates things, I think we have a pretty good idea with the manga of how the Chozo went down. You have their main, you get to see the fall of their main homeworld across the manga and Zero Mission and Super, while you also get to see the rest of their downfall on colonies due to the Metroids, as well as the Civil War between the Makin and the whatever the other tribe were called.
Yeah.
And I think you have a pretty good sense of finality with Dread, where you kind of get to put a rest to that war. You get to put a rest to the Metroids and the X. So I don't want the Chozo to return. Maybe as like little nods to be like, we're still trying to help Samus, or she's still receiving, power from them. But I'd like to see something new.
Yeah, maybe there's like some new like intelligent species that is just achieved like their first space travel or whatever.
Yeah.
And like Samus goes as like a Galactic Federation ambassador to their planet to like sort of make ties with them and greet them into the Federation or whatever, but then turns out they're like fucked up evil people and they want to just devour everything. I don't know.
Yeah, something else I thought of is no space pirates. I'm glad Dread and Fusion haven't had them. They don't need to return. Let them be dead.
Yeah. Like pretty much everything has died at the hands of Samus at this point. So we can have new things.
That or the Federation, finally. Or I guess the Rogue Federation faction. Because that's been muddied by a lot of the lore. Oh, hey, look, it's that Super Metroid thing.
There's the Rogue Federation faction that we just don't hear anything about from in Dread. Like,
well, we don't even hear about it in any of the games because we have the English version. It's only in the Japanese version. I think it's like in Metroid Fusion they set up a rogue part of the Federation and you learn about them and how they're in control of the BSL. And then you get to go back in Metroid Other M and explore some more of that in the Bottleneck ship and Adam Malkovich.
I wonder if they do happen to mention it in Dread at any point in the Japanese, because I haven't looked into the Japanese version for that game at all. So
yeah,
it's possible.
I'd have to look. I'm sure there's somewhere out there.
Yeah, I feel to me, I don't know if it's just like the fact that they didn't like it. It felt like Dread kind of just opened out of nowhere, purely because everyone thought like she was now like a rogue agent, pretty much from the Federation. Yeah. It kind of just felt like, oh, she's going on another Federation mission. I thought they had beef or whatever, but
no, she only has beef with the rogue faction. The main Federation are still her boss.
Yeah, but then I learned about the rogue faction, and then I'm like, okay, it still kind of feels odd.
It's not the greatest of storytelling, but it's a little better.
Yeah.
It doesn't excuse any of the shit that other M goes through, but it's a little better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a shame, because I think there's a little bit of good world building. It's just never been fully realized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think something like that could be cool. Like maybe have it to be where maybe the rogue faction is sort of like moved to the background over the years and after like the events of fusion or whatever.
Dude, if
and
you
it's
actually
slowly taken over
if
the
you
entirety.
fought rogue Federation humans, if you shot them with the wave beam, would they just get sliced in half? Like,
dude, that'd be
can we
so
get a
sick.
rated M Metroid game, please?
Metroid rip and tear.
Yes. God, yes. Make Samus the Doomslayer, please. You know what? Fuck it. Don't even give me Metroid 6. Give me the Metroid Boomer Shooter spinoff. Everyone's getting it right now. Like, it would be amazing.
It would be so amazing.
Give it to
Oh, this is where I, by the way, ran back to the game. This is where I figured out that the raindrops are for the invisible platforms.
Oh. Give it to that studio that keeps bringing back, that keeps porting all the lost games. Night Dive, yeah. Give it to Night Dive. They remade System Shack and it was great. They know how to do. They have experience with boomer shooters. Damn it! Get David Seisminsky on that shit. Give me the Dust Creator.
Yeah, I think a Metroid boomer shooter would be so fucking cool.
Yeah. If only. Just use your visor.
I was trying to be a cool guy. It was also just purely because that was where I figured out, oh yeah, the raindrops are hitting the invisible platforms. That makes sense. I see that fucking thing. Oh, it's just... Did this... Oh, shit!
Why do you suck at first-person platforming so much?
Why can't Metroid ledge grab? It was because I bumped something on my initial jump.
She doesn't have the power grip in this game. Thank you, continuity.
But she has it in Zero Mission.
She got it there. She lost it by the time she got to this.
Why does she keep losing her power-ups?
Don't worry about it.
I am.
Just play the game.
Damn it.
Just play the game.
I'll be worried about it if I damn well please. Ay. Wee.
So yeah, that's why I want a Metroid 6, or the Metroid Boomer Shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let me rip and tear Ridley to shreds.
Let
me rip off Ripley's tail and cut off his head with it.
Yes. I was gonna say, I don't know if I should say that I don't need more 2D Metroids, because they're all good and I want more good games. But, like, I am kind of at the point where I'm like, all these games are perfect to me. I can replay them forever and never get bored.
Look, if we're going to put more time into energy wishing for a 2D Metroidvania, put all your time into wishing for Silksong. That's what we need right now. Fuck Metroid. I want Silksong.
I haven't even played Hollow Knight, though. So.
Well, get your ass on that. It's great.
I'm waiting for Kuro the Owl to be the sequel to Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
I never finished Ori.
You should.
I probably won't, and I'm sorry.
But they're so good.
Yeah, well, these JRPGs aren't going to play themselves. I'm sorry.
I'll play Hollow Knight if you play through both Ori games. Listen. Ori and the Blind Forest is really short, okay, for a Metroidvania. It's a tiny game.
I'm sure.
I'm
just going to wait for Silksong, though.
But why wait when Will of the Wisps is right there and it's really
because
good.
I got so much Final Fantasy to get through right now, and 13 Sentinels.
Hey, you know what? Will of the Wisps kind of does something like what we were talking about earlier. where you have to switch out what weapon you're using. You have to pick whatever weapons you want to use at any given time.
Ender Lilies also does that.
I've never heard of that.
Cool game.
Ah.
Not the best Metroidvania I played, but it's cool. It's just got some issues.
Yeah.
Great soundtrack though.
I need to play Pseudo Regalia really badly.
I should actually finish it.
Maybe we can make my first playthrough of that like a live thing that we do. I don't know.
Yeah, I just gotta finish it before we do that then. So I have stuff to say.
Yeah.
I want more games with a backwards long jump.
Dude, they should have had that in this
I'm
game.
just thinking about the application of that across games that aren't just Mario. And it would be awesome. To just suddenly, with a lot of skill and practice, fling yourself backwards at high speeds.
Well, you also need like a slope in Mario. Or some stairs. Or something like that.
Because you need to constantly, I think, be able to jump backwards and add speed. Because there's no speed cap. Is I think how it works.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's no... I think there's no forward speed cap.
There's no speed cap when you're moving backwards.
Yeah. It's like... That's funny because... Half-Life 2 basically added the backwards long jump because like B-hopping was so overpowered in the initial game, so they updated it to where if you're accelerating too fast in the forward direction, it'll just minus your speed. But they didn't account for accelerating in backwards. So if you accelerate backwards, it subtracts your speed from your forward vector. So it's always subtracting speed, so it's always adding to your backward speed.
Shit, I gotta download Half-Life 2 and try that now. That sounds awesome. What do I do? Just keep jumping backwards?
You have to like actually B-hop, which it's a pretty involved motion. Cause like you.
Well, do I have to use mouse momentum for it?
Not mouse momentum, but what you need is, like you need to get Gordon started going in a direction, and then you start jumping, and you perfectly time your jumps just as he hits the ground. But when you start jumping, you stop holding backwards, and you only guide Gordon by tapping left.
A strafe key and the mouse.
Strafe key and the mouse, yeah.
Okay.
So it's like
that's gonna be hard to do backwards then, but that's hilarious.
Yeah, but like I recommend videos by a creator called Desync. He has very hilarious Half-Life 2 quote unquote tutorials, because he's like it's like Half-Life 2 at 300 miles per hour or whatever, and he's like okay, so we're just doing a quick little let's play of Half-Life 2. So what you're going to want to do is initiate an accelerated back hop here. And he just starts fucking flying, and then he sometimes he fails and bumps into shit. It's good. It's good content. Good fucking content.
I'll never watch it, but it sounds fun.
Oh, come on. I'll make you watch a video right after this part is done.
Oh boy. I got too many 5-hour video essays to watch.
Too bad. These videos are like 3 minutes long.
Now that I've mentioned it, you should go check out the channel I Beat a Video Game. It's wonderful. To any viewers out there.
I've probably seen.
He did a Metroid series in Castlevania. I'm pretty sure he's watched the Metroid one.
Probably, yeah. That sounds very...
Because it's 6 hours of every Metroid game. Okay, and Castlevania 7.5 hours.
I've definitely... Yeah, I've watched both the Castlevania and Metroid videos. Yeah, I remember
They're great.
Yeah, I believe right now we're going to get the plasma beam super missile type thing. I think that's what we kind of end the part on. I don't remember for sure, but you know, we're doing something.
Would this be the flamethrower upgrade?
Yes.
Okay.
Which I hardly ever use, if ever. So I'm not.
well.
I'm honestly not sure if I actually use it.
Oh well.
Flamethrower just is not that useful in this.
Yeah, and a lot of them are just too convoluted to do that you never remember them.
Yeah.
That's something I struggle with a lot of platformer extra moves, and I have to really force myself to make use of moves in levels before I forget that they exist.
Yeah.
Gunvolt 3 has a big issue with this, with the extra moves you can get, because there's kind of almost no use for them outside of a boss. Because you never use your standard sword abilities in that game in standard levels. You just do the arc chain where you trunks everybody from Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
That was a terrible way to describe it, but you know, you get the point. You've seen Dragon Ball. Yeah. I think you've seen Dragon Ball, right?
I have. Yes, I've seen Dragon Ball.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe go watch our Dragon Ball Z movie commentaries to find out.
This SSG SS Blue or SSG SSJ
SSG SS Blue SS Ultra Instinct.
SSG SSJ mean anything to you?
It's SSG SS.
No, because there's Super Saiyajin, so SSJ.
Yeah, but even in the Japanese, they hyphenate it to SSG SS.
Oh.
Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan. It's such a stupid name. Dragon Ball Super Superhero. Man, that Toriyama sure is good at naming things.
When are you gonna play Chrono Trigger?
I will, god damn it.
I want you to play JRPGs, damn it.
You know what this game is missing? I'm sorry, I got
turn-based combat, yes, I agree.
I got distracted by the message that said radiation detected. This game's missing an HEV suit voice to tell you about the radiation and
God, you know what? No, if Metroid 4 happens, it needs to be after Fusion, so Metroid not Metroid, so Adam Malkovich talks to you.
Adam can be
I
in
want
your
Adam
suit.
with his dread voice to talk to you. That would be so good.
He's your suit AI. Oh, it'd be great. It'd be so good. And he could be the one to say morphine administered.
Yes.
Minor fracture detected. Morphine administered.
Imagine if he had to say every time Samus activates a missile, beam swaps or activates the morph ball. Morph ball engaged. Missiles engaged. Super missiles engaged.
You are not authorized to use the Varia suit.
You know, I wonder how Adam sounds in Japanese, assuming they have JP voice acting for him.
Yeah, I'd be interested in playing like through a JP version of Dread.
I assume you can't change the voice language, can you?
I don't know. I haven't actually tried.
So. I'll have to check. I don't have it installed. I have to.
I don't remember Dread having a very robust settings menu, though. To be honest.
Yeah, it should have. Because they gave Zelda the ability to switch the voiceover dialogue, and Japanese Zelda is like perfection.
Yeah, that is something that is kind of back on the topic of a Metroid 6. Oddly enough, as we're coming to the end of this part here, I kind of would like them to take the AM2R route and have like Prime-esque scammable objects. Just so like you get that extra dialogue lore, and maybe like we were talking, so if Adam's your voice AI companion, he could be the one that reads it off to you or whatever.
Yeah,
Could be.
I think the 2D Metroid games would be fine if they had like a codex or something.
Yeah, something like that would be
I
really
don't think
cool.
I think too many people out there are hesitant on codexes, but like when handled right, as long as they give you enough lore that you don't need to read it, I think they're just fine. It's a
Yeah,
great way to have a complex story with a lot of terms and acronyms, but you don't have to worry about the player getting lost because they can always look at, you know, the codex
yeah,
to relearn what those mean, or to even read story summaries of what just happened.
yeah.
We need more of those.
There it is. It's our flamethrower. Not gonna fucking
Yay!
use
Oh, hey, I actually noticed you got this and not this plasma beam. Because you didn't fight like a
Well,
boss or anything for the plasma beam.
no, I just
I
had that
think.
massive. I just had that massive section with the spider ball and the like
Oh, that was
platforms I
for
had
the
to
plasma.
rotate.
That was for the plasma beam.
Yeah, that's what I
You
said
got it
earlier.
that
I
long
said,
ago?
yeah, that was
Oh
my
my
reward for
goodness.
the spider ball section.
Oh
That's what I
my
said.
goodness. I didn't notice until like halfway through the video you had it. We were
I
talking
know.
about. You said this would be the video with the most stuff in it, but I think we talked about this game the least in this video.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it was it had the most progress, but at the same time, it was just item collection the part. So, you know, I didn't really go to new areas. I didn't really do anything like that. So,
Mm.
it was purely just a backtracking collectathon part. And you know what? I think I packed this part pretty full, other than like the 10-minute span in there somewhere where I just kind of walked around. But that happens every part. Fuck you.